All right, so I'm talking with Jay Stevens, former lead singer for the group Life. Jay, tell us something about the group Life from New York.
Wow. Well, we got to go back a number of years. We had a guitar player by the name of Bobby Gallo, bass player by the name of Greg Blaze, and a drummer by the name of Alan Travell. We stayed together quite a while, rehearsing every day, working hard. We did some great things, but due to the circumstances of record companies and everything else, we had to break up.
Hey, well, I'm a friend, a stranger in the black sedan. Won't you hop inside my car? I got pictures, got candy, I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know that I love you, I need you, I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Well, if you wants to be a movie star, I can take you to a Hollywood. But if you wanna stay just like you are, you know I think you really should. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now I'm sure you know that I love you, I need you, I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Oh, you know I do. Well, I'm the friend, the stranger in the black sedan. Won't you hop inside my
All right, we're in Hampton, Virginia. Jake Stevens from New York,
Don't do that.
down in the studio. So, Jake, you ready, man? We rolling. It's Dr. O Productions, man. It don't matter, man. It don't matter, man. We rolling. Jake Jr. right there. Yo, Jake Jr.
What's up?
All right, we're at the lab. We get ready to go into the lab. We get ready to go in here and do this thing right here in the studio. Hey, yes, sir. Dr. O Productions in effect. We'll see y'all inside.
And we just separated ourselves, but a couple of guys stayed and hung on to what we were trying to do.
Well, how did that group come together? How did they all come
Well,
together?
it came together because I was with an original group called Junior and the Spine Tinglers. That was myself and three beautiful ladies, both very, very, very good singers as far as vocal-wise. I had a soprano, alto, and a baritone. Their names was Lupa, Irene Cook, and Mary Screen. Formerly of Junior and the Spine Tinglers with Jimmy Hill as being our musical director. Jimmy, of course, was blind, but he was like a musical genius with us. And that was back in 67, 68.
All right, Jake Stevens in the studio. Do what you do. We ready. Hit it, so. All right, so you got all these people together. The venue, what were you guys trying to do at that point?
Well, both and mostly getting a record deal and touring. My main concern was Record companies, all they do is solidify to you where you can just put yourself on music to let the people know how you sound. But I've always thought your performances, that means everything. That'll draw people to you, especially if you work hard on stage and you please them. You must please them. That's the most important thing.
So when you say working hard, what is considered working hard with J.J. Stevens?
Tightness of my band, on point when it comes to tardiness, absentee, being there.
So would
rehearsal.
would you say you set the standard and the expectations pretty high?
Oh yes. In other words, if you want to reach the top of the mountain, you have to climb the top of the mountain. You gotta have a good rope. You understand what I'm saying? When you hear that line, right there, it make you go like this. You know what I'm saying? It make you feel it, baby. Ah! You gonna make me feel it. You know what I'm saying? You gonna make me feel it, baby.
Let me hear Tell me about Alan Travell, the drummer.
One talented young man, very talented. Excellent drummer, excellent. When I mean excellent, every beat you can find, you would thought it was black. And I say that with he had rhythm, and he had a very good voice, very good voice. I've never found a drummer like him. Again, if he ever sees this, come on back out.
So I had the opportunity to be a part of that life as well. I was very young and so I know that the guys in that group, you know, all these guys were like the top musicians. So let's just touch base a little bit on some of the guys. I know you had the horn section. You had a full horn section. You had a bunch of guys that I wasn't really familiar with, but I know the two main guys in the group was Bob Ford and Zane Massey. So tell me something about Zane Massey.
Zane Massey was very young at the time. His father, Cal Massey, was on a trio with John Coltrane. And we know how old John Coltrane is. He's one of the greatest sax players that we've ever come in contact with as far as music is concerned. And he was a member of his trio. Zane was something very special. Zane was young, had lips like he was 100 years old, had breath like he was 250 years old. When I say breath, he never got tired playing his horn. As you know, very well articulate, doing things that you would never hear a saxophone player doing. And now I hear he's overseas doing the same thing. So I commend him a great deal, and I miss him because you don't have that sound. That was my, as James Brown would call Maceo. Zane Massey was my Maceo. You know, Bob Ford, musical genius, student under John Coltrane, knew the craft, knew the articulates of music, knew the concept of music, knew the formula of music. I can't give him enough credit of putting our sound together that we had. He was our musical director, and he was literally a genius. You know, we've all had strides and strips that we've went along life that where we find trials and tribulations, and we all have them. But when we came together as a unit, there was no trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and I know that from being part of the team as well. You and I both had the privilege, man, of being honored to play with one of the greatest guitarists ever lived, Arthur Reeves.
Arthur Reeves. 15 years old when I grabbed him. You know, didn't even have an axe. He got an axe from a man we call Yo-Yo.
We know Yo-Yo, yeah.
And he would give Arthur his axe, and Arthur became a musical genius. What I hear of him after leaving, because he's had, you never know about a person's life. You know, we think that our lives are so hard until you see someone else's life.
Exactly.
You know, and he grew up kind of hard. But like I said, when we came together, there was all joy and happiness around us. And we brought the funk that the funk was never thought about. You know, because it was nothing but soul.
So you being the leader of this team, you had a lot of responsibility to make sure that the product that we're trying to put together and the musicians were all taken. So what was all your thought on all of this? You know, where were you really trying to take everything? I know you're trying to get a record deal and whatnot, but what was your motivation to put life together?
My motivation was music. I wanted to please people and let the young people know what people like Coltrane, Cal Massey, Eric Chambers, what they all did in the beginning when they couldn't go and play like we could that day and that time back there in the 70s and 80s. I wanted to give pleasure to people when they smile, when they hear us. Everybody used to come running because I guess we sounded good enough and that they wanted to hear us. But my thing was performing. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to act on stage. You know, it's all entertainment. So I have to present whatever I'm saying, and the ballads that I'm singing, or the hard rock that I'm singing. I have to present it as a story, because everyone loves a story. Music is a story. You know, they say it soothes the savage beast. Well, you got a lot of beast in man.
Yeah, but you know, and you also had built up a reputation as an entertainer, because when everybody saw you, it was entertainer. So we know that, you know, who were some of your influences? Because I know overall James Brown was one.
Well,
I know that.
Before James Brown, of course, Jackie Wilson was a very intricate part of me becoming, doing what I'm doing. But to even go back to there, Little Richard, I love Jerry Lee Lewis. I even liked Elvis, believe it or not. Elvis worked hard. Fats Domino.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. Nat King Cole was so cool. You know, and of course Sam Cooke. How can you not do anything without Sam Cooke? You know, because he always said a change is gonna come.
And you know something else I noticed too, that even in living in Flatbush, you know, I lived on Bedford Avenue between Albemarle and Tilden. Were you on Cotillion Road?
Yes, I was.
You were on Cotillion Road. Okay, now both the areas were different because that area was like mostly white oriented.
Yes.
So am I right in saying that you grew up around a lot of white boys?
I didn't only grow up around a lot of Caucasian.
Caucasian. Okay.
I went to school with him at the parochial school, PS 139. I was over there and until the 4th grade. Then I went to a Catholic school called Holy Innocents. That was up not too far from where I lived on 17th Street and Beverly Road. Brooklyn DA Joe Hines, he came from there.
Right.
Yeah. I was the first black person to graduate from that Catholic school.
Okay.
I was one time thinking to become a priest.
Woo, God help us. Hey, you know something that I noticed? Like during that time, I had been playing with a lot of groups. So I was touring with Freddie Jackson, and we worked with McCool and the Gang and GQ and all them. So I noticed that we were doing a lot of R&B. But when I came into life, the whole repertoire of music was totally different. So your repertoire was based on the bigger bands like Chicago, Mandrill, Tower Power, and the younger R&B bands were not playing that stuff. We were doing Bobby Womack, we were doing GQ, we were doing stuff like that. So how did you base yourself on building your repertoire? Why did you lean toward that type of music?
Well, as you would remember, because you were a part of this and it was very difficult to learn. Remember we tried Roundabout? Yes.
Right.
I remember that.
Now hold on, let me stop you for a minute because I remember that. That was probably one of the most difficult bass parts to play. Now we rehearsed that in Yo-Yo's basement.
Right.
It was Arthur Raines. Now we had a keyboard player. He was playing a Hammond keyboard at that time.
Right.
I don't remember
Melvin
his.
Dover.
Okay. And we did that song.
Yes.
And we did that song and rehearsed that in the basement. That was something I never played anything like that because I was used to the 4/4 type stuff, and I was amazed at the way. I mean, so getting back to how you picked your repertoire.
I wanted to fuse rhythm and blues with rock.
Okay.
See, the only person I've ever heard do it was Sly.
Yeah.
Sly did it.
Yeah.
You know, and he had one of the greatest bass players that I have ever heard in my life, and that was Larry Graham. And I had the pleasure of having one of the greatest bass players ever played with me, Doc Timberlake.
Yeah. Larry Graham was my idol anyway.
I know.
Because growing up, I liked that whole sound because it was
That's why
different.
I love the funk.
Yeah, finally back in the studio How do you feel about the recording session last night?
Oh, I felt it was wonderful. It was a blessing in disguise.